Hey guys, I'm WeProps, and today I'm going to show you how I made a Magnum Pistol from Halo using my 3D printer and some spray paint. If you guys want the files for these, I'll have the links to those in the description. It took me a couple of hours to model these, so it wasn't super complicated. I printed the whole thing out in one piece using supports to bridge all of the overhangs, and after I ripped all those off, I went through and masked off all the black areas using some masking tape and my X-Acto knife. I did mask off a few areas that could have been printed silver or painted silver, but I didn't feel like masking or unmasking those, so I just masked them off. When using masking tape like this, you want to make sure that the edge has a really solid connection to the surface so that no paint sneaks over. I pressed down with my fingernail and then part of a paintbrush to make sure that all of the edges stay down. You could use like a silicone tool or something like you use for molding clay, just because it's kind of rubbery and flexible so it can reach down in all those small spaces, but I don't have one of those, though I have seen a lot of people use them. When masking some smaller areas off, it's always useful to trim down the masking tape to size before you fit it in place rather than trimming it once you put it in there, just because it's a little bit easier, though you always can trim it with the X-Acto knife once you put it in place. I then went through and sprayed it with some silver Rust-Oleum spray paint, and once that was dry, I removed the masking tape and went through and got some silver paint and dabbled that on all of the edges of the black to give it the look that some of the surfaces of the black have faded away and gotten peeled off to reveal the silver underneath. On some previous props, I painted the thing silver and then painted the handle black and then just removed some of the black paint, but I didn't feel like going through that process on this, so I'm just going to do this instead. In case you guys are wondering, I'm just using normal acrylic silver craft paint for the silver, and then just using an old sponge from I think a speaker that I chopped up to dabble it on. You could use a paintbrush to give it more of a chipped and look, kind of like how Boba Fett's helmet has that chipping look to this, but I wanted this kind of faded look. I then went through and did a black wash over all of the spray painted silver parts, just mixing up some black paint and some water, just testing it out to make sure that it was the right consistency, and then I went through and brushed it on. I also did a brown wash the same way, I just forgot to record it. And once that's kind of dry, just a little bit dry, you go through and wipe it away with like a paper towel or a piece of clothing or something. I personally use old t-shirts that I would give away to Goodwill just because they're easy to find and I have a ton of them, so I use that to wipe away all of my junk. I also use them as kind of a rag or whatever whenever I get hot or anything. It's pretty useful to have around the shop, and I have like 5 of them, so use whatever you want. After letting the paint dry for a little bit, I really like how this turned out. I really like the worn look that it has, and the chromey silver paint looks pretty nice. I think this paint was a really good find. I've used it on a couple of props before, but I really like the chrome look it has, and I really like how well scaled this gun is with my hand. Normally my guns don't typically come out the right scale, so I'm pleased with this. If you guys want to check out my Patreon and try to support me through there, that would be great. All of my black paint that I use is bought by my Patreon Matthew, so thank you, Matthew. If you guys don't mind liking and subscribing, please do. Let me know what builds and stuff you guys want me to make, and I'll get making them. See you guys next vid. Happy crafting.